I know. I said I wasn't going to review the comic, but here we are. Hey there, this is your Math Doodle with To My Timeless Hands, Doodle here with another video, and today I want to talk about the actual Ultimate Spider-Man comic. And I know I said originally I wasn't going to talk about it until it was put into volume form so I can read it. But after hearing so many good reviews on the comic and just people praising it, I would see clips of people talking about it, I couldn't keep my mouth shut anymore. I just had to talk about it and read it because I wanted to see what all the hype was about. And people are right. This is an amazing comic. It's one of the few comics that I've actually read in an issue format and not just a volume format. Because, I want to read more, not just the one piece. But this is a great introduction and it gives me a lot of questions. They're not bad, they're just more things that I'm confused about, if that makes sense. Like timeline-wise, things like that. So let's just get into that stuff. I love what they did with this universe, and I know that the Ultimate Comics is kind of a sequel to what happened to the original Ultimate Universe. The maker, an evil Reed Richards from the original Ultimate Comics, wanted to make a normal world so he can rule in the background. So he did change so many things so things wouldn't happen, like Peter never getting bit or other things which I need to get shaped up on. I know I had a commenter say that they wanted me to read that comic so I can get familiar to the new one, but it looked really confusing when I was trying to read it, so I didn't really get to. But I'm probably going to later on. So this world, for lack of better terms, is a normal world, if that makes sense. Peter is an adult. Peter is just a normal Joe, just kind of going through life. He's married to MJ, has 2 kids, which is cool. I originally did not like that Richard was introduced because I'm so used to him having a girl and her being a new spider person. But of course, Peter never getting bit. His DNA was not changed, so his kid couldn't get on spider powers. But after reading it, I got used to him really quick, and I love seeing that they're pushing the fact that Peter is a husband and dad. Whenever they put that in the comic, you can tell it's trying something. It's saying, hey, this man is an adult. He has a life. He has a wife and kids. That's what he is. And it's amazing because his love for MJ and the love she gives back is beautiful. And I love the fact that they communicate like actual adults and not this wishy-washy stuff that we see so much in comics. Like, they actually communicate. Peter's sad, so MJ picks up and says, you want to talk about it? And Peter's like, yes, I do want to talk about my feelings. But later on, when we're not busy, because they had to go to a funeral thing, I always confused, because in this version, May is dead, and Uncle Ben is alive. And Aunt May actually died in a weird way, because it was through an accident or an explosion. I can't really remember the exact details, but it's interesting how they do this, because Uncle Ben is obviously upset, but because of how he is, he's an older guy, he thinks in an older way. Not the, like, when Peter's asking Ben how he's doing, Ben doesn't really want to talk about it. Like, he's very much like, I don't want to talk about my feelings, you know how I feel, like, things like that. It's not that he's a bad guy, but he's more fleshed out to being an older type person. And he's awesome. You can see the parallels between old Uncle Ben in the comics to this version. And there's something, this is where I mean by timeline-wise, this confuses me. How does this work exactly? Because, yes, I know the maker changed this world so certain things would not happen. But I read in the comic, it said that Uncle Ben and Aunt May didn't adopt or, raise Peter until he was 15. 15 is usually when he gets bit by the spider. So that makes me wonder, how did Peter's parents die? Because that's usually the reason why he goes with Aunt May and Uncle Ben. And I do want to say, I love how they kind of showed that Aunt May was usually the nurturing one, and that's why Peter would go, hey, Uncle Ben, are you okay? But, him being an old guy, he's more like, please stop, like I said. And this makes me wonder, because of everything changing, how did Peter meet Mary Jane? Because I know that made me seem like a small detail, but to me, it's a big one because it makes me wonder, are we going by the Ultimate Universe of the original one? Or are we going by the 616 version? Because in the 616 version, Peter didn't really, know MJ until they were in college. And didn't really fall in love until, after Gwen died. And that's how Peter and MJ got closer together, and that's how they fell in love. Or are they going by the Ultimate comic route, which was where that they met in high school and they fell in love that direction. I'm really confused about the world because yes, it's an Ultimate Universe, but things are so different. Like they didn't meet Harry Osborn either, because either also in the Ultimate Universe they met in high school, but in this one it doesn't seem like they really met at all. And Harry's angry that his dad's dead, and then it leads me lead into the Green Goblin of this world, which I know a lot of people are gonna say it looks like Iron Man, but to me that's actually kind of fine. Usually I'm not okay with everything looking like Iron Man, but this one kind of makes sense in of course the Green Goblin is usually super powered, but he usually wears an exoskeleton too. And I do love his design too because it's inverted to the normal Green Goblin way of showing, because his suit is green. It's more green than it is purple, because I know that in the original comics he was more purple than green because it's more of the outfit he was wearing. But in this one it's inverted, which actually looks good. No mouth, so that's an interesting touch. So it may seem that this one's not as crazy. And we know from a little things we've seen beforehand that this version is going to be a hero, which is going to be an interesting way they put that. Now, I do want to say I love how Uncle Ben and JJ are friends in this version, and they even quit the Bugle together because of the Kingpin's reign over it now. And Robbie's gonna be ahead of it, which is cool. But they quit, and then they go to a bar, which is the Bar No Name, which is cool to show that there is no bad guys that usually occupy it. But they're thinking about how they were going to start the business, which is an interesting thing on how they actually show it, because it shows how similar they are, but could be very different. Because we see Uncle Ben wants the truth, complete truth on how they can, be better at the news. But Jameson is saying something different. He says to not lie, which is a completely different statement. They can skew how the truth is because it's the truth, but the way how they see it. And this is a normal thing to how Jameson does it to Spider-Man in a normal universe, which is surprising on how he's going to do it. Are they going to have struggles between each other? Are they going to lose their friendship? That's an interesting thing to talk about. And oh my god, I almost forgot about Peter. I know I talked about him a little better about the love with MJ, but I want to talk about him by himself. He is such a cool character in this one. You can kind of tell that this is still Peter Parker, but it's kind of different because, he grew up without the powers. He didn't grow up with the responsibilities of Spider-Man. He didn't grow up, so it's a little different on how he is. He's still sarcastic. He's still, witty. He's still tired most days. But this actually shows that most likely that Peter's, lack of balance isn't just his Spider-Man-ness. It's actually just him. That's just who Peter is. It's really hard for him to focus on multiple things. And that's okay. That's just life for a lot of people, which is a good way of showing that. And I love how he looks like in this comic. The beard, the hair, it's so nice. And I know when he gets the powers, he just won't have his glasses anymore because why will he need it? But it doesn't look right with him like that. And the way he gets his powers in this one is the thing that I do want to talk about. It's actually the one where I do kind of go into something a little negative. That I feel like the fact that this version of Peter decides to get superpowers is kind of selfish, if that makes sense. And the reason I say that is because in this world, it looks pretty normal. Nothing seems out of place exactly, except, the fact that there's a Green Goblin, but we don't know too much about him exactly. And Peter gets his powers through a different way than just an accidental one that we normally know. He gets his powers through the Tony Stark from the previous universe that somehow was able to contain that spider that he originally had, which makes me wonder how old is that spider. But he gives him the spider and tells him, you were supposed to be great. All that nagging in his head that he's had of something feels off is probably because he didn't get the spider bite. It's supposed to happen to him, or it's a thing that needs to happen for him to grow, if that makes sense. And Peter's stuck. I do love that the fact that we get a confirmation that nothing will change between Peter and MJ in this. They even say that. MJ asked, is things going to change between us? And Peter says, never, which is a great thing, and I hope that stays even after Peter gets the powers. But when Peter decided to get bit by the spider, the reason why I say it's selfish is because that means he's going to put his family into more danger. It doesn't seem like Peter's being a hero because, it's the right thing to do. It feels like he's just being a hero because it's something he needs or he misses. The selfish part. I want to be a hero for the fun of it, if that makes sense. And Peter doesn't have the training or the knowledge of how his powers work exactly in this version, so we don't know how he's going to handle it. And it doesn't look like he's ever developed his web shooters or refined them, so these are very, late in the game, and I'm not sure why he would develop the webs in the first place unless Tony told him to do that. And that seems a little weird that this version of Peter did not, create his costume, because it shows in a lot of instances that he has a black suit that's, looks like it will be malleable to what it can change into, because it shows in a lot of variant covers that he's going to have different costumes. And I know that's just variant covers, but the way this suit is just completely black makes me wonder. And it kind of feels weird that this version of Spider-Man did not have everything himself. Like, he didn't make everything himself. He chose to get bit. He was in an accident. He got a costume. He was told how to be a hero. So that's a weird situation. And again, the selfishness is, and the reason why I keep saying selfish is for it, because what if the villains find out who he is and then they go after his family? He decided to put himself in that danger. And the reason why I say that this world doesn't look that bad, it looks like a regular world. Like, even Matt Murdock, who usually is Daredevil, is still blind and he's a priest, but he's doing that, a normal thing. I'm not sure if his chemicals even made him a super vigilante anymore, to enhance his abilities, but everything looks normal, besides the Green Goblin, but that's that. So he's deciding to endanger the world more often, if that makes sense. Because the more heroes, the more bad guys, the more supervillains. And that's making me wonder what's going to happen. He's going to cause harm, and I hope that even after he gets his abilities, him and MJ don't change. Like, she will be mad. That's most likely going to happen, because he's deciding to endanger his kids too. It's not just her, they have kids that's a responsibility he has to take. What do you think? Do you think I'm rambling about this comic? Do you think I'm just kind of going all over my head for it? Do you think I'm overthinking this? Let me know in the comments down below. I would really like to know your answer. But those are my thoughts on the comic. And if you like this video and want to see more of me talking about the comic, and you want me to go talk about the second issue, let me know in the comments. I usually wouldn't do this, but this comic has been so good, so I want to talk about it. So if you like this video, please subscribe, hit the notification bell, and like the video. And also, this has been Dunamite, and I hope to see everyone in the next video.